guys, yes, NVIDIA just reported amazing numbers, but the stock crashed really bad today. Yes, it is down 6.38% and no one understands why that's happening. Well, in today's video, I'm going to explain you the NVIDIA numbers, why the stock is crashing so bad, and what is my prediction for this business and its stocks from the next 2 years, guys. Yes, hey, if you haven't been on my channel before, my name is Omar. I like to talk about business, everything about the stock market, and all the things that are happening around the world. So if you like this type of conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because believe me, I'm gonna give you all the information that is happening. But let's start with this right now. So NVIDIA came up with some amazing numbers yesterday, and look at what happened to the stock. It went down really bad, and I believe this is going to get worse really soon, guys. Yes, if we check on NVIDIA numbers, hey, you can see that those numbers cannot be beat. The record, you have a record in their quarters, about $30 billion this quarter, 50% from the prior quarter, and they have an 122% from a year ago, same quarter, right? Insane numbers. Now, look at the data center revenue. It grows $26.3 billion, up 16% from the previous quarter and 154% from the prior year. You just see this number and you probably will say, what is going on? This stock just crashed their numbers. You don't have to look into anything else to believe, hey, this is insane, really good numbers. Why the stock is crashing? Well, guys, I'm gonna tell you why exactly the stock is crashing. This stock is looking, all the analysts and everybody in Wall Street is looking for more than perfection for this stock. And why is that? Well, guys, if you see, NVIDIA is the third most valuable company in the world right now. This is insane. Third most valuable company in the world, just below Apple and Microsoft. And they are below Microsoft because they just got this crash. Otherwise, they will surpass Microsoft right away. And let me tell you, it is really difficult to justify this for NVIDIA, guys. Yes, and I know that's not a popular conversation, what people want to hear, but it's really difficult to justify NVIDIA numbers just like that. Why is that? Well, guys, if we check NVIDIA earnings, they're not in the top 10 of the world, guys. Yes, they are not even close. They're not even in the 100 top companies by revenue, right? By earnings. And if we check the revenue, it gets even worse. They're not right there. They're not in the 100. They're not even in the top 100 in the world. So if you want to see where NVIDIA is, we can see here that NVIDIA today is in the position 119 with around $80 billion a year. It is really difficult to justify that you are the third most valuable company in the world when you just made $80 billion in revenue a year, guys. Yes, just to put you in context, Apple make $600 and something extra billion in revenue. Amazon makes $600 and something billion in revenue. And you telling me that Amazon, that makes $600 billion in revenue, is below NVIDIA? You telling me that Google, that this past quarter have $89 billion in revenue, this past quarter, with all the lawsuits they have battling, with a bum market for them because they just keep going on the normal rate, spending super crazy on AI, have $87 billion in revenue, and NVIDIA have $30 billion only. You just saw it for their numbers in this past quarter, and is the third most valuable company in the world. Guys, I mean, it is really difficult to justify that NVIDIA is on the top companies when their revenue and their numbers do not justify that. And you can make an argument that NVIDIA, if you go to their numbers and balance sheet, it still looks cheap, right? You can have that debate about that. Because when you go to NVIDIA, and this is today's numbers, you see that they have a P ratio of 58, let's round it to 59, and a forward P ratio of 47. right? And we can say, okay, Amazon sometimes is in those spot. You got crazy other companies like Palantir being higher than this, right? Yes, that's true, but these numbers are saying and are based on today's earnings for NVIDIA. NVIDIA is 126, I think it's 122 year over year, but that because they're selling all these chips. And I know people believe that that's gonna be forever, but it's really difficult to justify or think that NVIDIA is gonna be selling the same amount of chips forever or increasing the numbers. Do you actually think that next quarter, when all these companies grab the chips and they start building their infrastructure, NVIDIA is gonna keep going with those huge numbers? I don't think so, and I'm not the only one that don't think this is gonna happen. Look at this, look at the analysts. Analysts are saying that in 2025, NVIDIA is gonna grow another 95%. Let's say they grow 100. But they are saying, okay, by 2026, they're going back to 38%. Let me put you in context here. If NVIDIA just crashed 7%, beating number from the past year and from the past quarter, imagine what's gonna happen when in the first quarter of 2025, NVIDIA comes and says, quarter over quarter, we're down 10%. Because the first quarter of this year, they make a crazy number like 154% quarter over quarter, right? Now they have to pass that number to say that to justify their growth. And it's gonna be really difficult. It's gonna be really difficult for them to say, hey, I'm growing 100 and something, I'm growing 50 or 30%. They might surpass the number, but it will be quarter over quarter in first quarter 2025. They probably, if they pass their previous quarter, it's gonna be a number like 6, 5, 2% year over year. And with this insane valuation, what the Wall Street is gonna say is this is not what I want. I want you to keep growing 100% quarter over quarter in years, of course, right? And it's really difficult. Even the analysts are saying you won't keep growing 122% year over year in the same quarter. Even them are saying that. And then when they go to 38, what's gonna happen? The stock is gonna crash. So let me tell you something. You can tell in this picture right here that the price to sales and the price to book for NVIDIA are out of chart. There's not a way to justify those price to sales and price to book. Valuations matters, guys. And I love NVIDIA. I used to hold NVIDIA, but the valuations matter. And we are getting to the point when the valuation is gonna cost NVIDIA a lot. People won't know what to make. People will spec crushing numbers year over year by 100%, and that's not something that NVIDIA can do forever. It's literally the analysts are telling you, hey, you're gonna keep growing until 2025 on this rate if you are able to do it in 2025. And a lot of competitions are coming. You got Apple building their own chips. You got Amazon building their own chips. You got Google already using their own chips. You got Meta building their own chips. You got other chips company trying to, get to NVIDIA, and I know they're not. NVIDIA is in another level, guys. Let's be honest. NVIDIA is one of the best companies ever. The CEO is great, and the company actually is run really well. But the company might be a beautiful, great business, which it is, but it doesn't justify the valuation of that stock. So this leads me to the final part. What do I think is gonna happen with NVIDIA? Well, guys, NVIDIA is gonna have the same thing that happens to Tesla. Why is that? If you guys remember Tesla in 2021, that stock went crazy up. Then they split their stock and they get a extra bump on their price, and then they crash. And then they stay on the same level for the next 3 years. Tesla is still between 160 and 220. They're still the same level they were 3 or 4 years ago. I believe this is exactly what's going to happen to NVIDIA. Actually, you can tell. NVIDIA already got the big jump in the stocks. They split the stock, you get an extra boom. Today, or yesterday, they came up with these insane, beautiful numbers, beating all types of expectations, and they crash. They crash. Actually, if you go and listen the earnings call, you're gonna hear the CEO saying, hoping that the sales keep going on this rate, we see growth in the future. Of course they're gonna have growth in the future. The question is, are you gonna have 122%? Are you gonna be able to hit the 95%? That's the real question. And this is why the stock today says, hey, you couldn't grow more than 60%. You couldn't grow more than 16% from the previous quarter, right? You couldn't go from quarter one, I don't know, 100% from prior year, but quarter over quarter, like quarter one versus quarter two, you couldn't grow more than 20%. That is telling Wall Street and everybody that is on watching this stock that, hey, when you keep going through the year, you're not gonna be able to keep beating the previous quarter. You're gonna, for now, NVIDIA is gonna keep beating really big on the prior year, but they're beating just double digit, mid double digit, like it's near double digit, 16, 12, 15. That's gonna be the bit between quarter over quarter, right? And if that's the rate, 16, 14, 15, we'll have to see the next 2 more quarters that NVIDIA has. When 2025 hit the first quarter, they have to compare that quarter with the prior year. Their numbers they're gonna keep growing, but they're not able to grow more than 160% or 50%. They're gonna look like they're not growing. They won't be able to justify being the third most valuable company in the world, guys. And this is why I believe NVIDIA is crashing. I believe it's gonna get worse, and I believe they're gonna get to a settled price, and then they're gonna stay there for at least 2 years, right? So, hey guys, if you agree with me, let me know in the comments, and let me know, of course, what do you think? What is your target price for NVIDIA? And if you like the video, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video, guys. Thank y'all.